welcome to our special show, Power Talk. And for a show on Power Talk, I have the most appropriate guest. I have with me Mr. Sanjiv Goenka himself, head of the Sanjiv Goenka Group. Thank you very much, sir, for joining us today.
Lata.
Well, I know your activities span power, carbon black, retail, FMCG, First Source, Sarigama, a whole host of things. But today I'm going to confine it to power and to the big powerhouse you're building, which is FMCG, if you don't mind. But let me start with power. At a very, very interesting and maybe difficult juncture, we know that power companies have been told that, if within 6 months a solution is not found, they will have to be taken to the NCLT. Power companies are asking for more time. Do you see any solution to at least the large power companies?
There's hope, and you always survive on hope. But quite honestly, I think it's a question of the delta between the price at which you get the coal and the price at which you sell the power. And that, at this point in time, for many units, is not remunerative. The coal linkages for power companies are valid only if they have a long-term PPA. No DISCOMs are getting into long-term PPAs, so therefore they are not getting coal as per the fuel supply agreement, which means you're buying coal on the spot market and the economics are completely going out of whack.
Okay, but in between we also saw the prices of power increasing. There were no, there were 8-month PPAs. People were procuring, states were procuring for the short term. That doesn't work, rolling on shorter term PPAs?
A shorter term PPA is a much cheaper PPA. It's based on variable costs. So that's okay for the short term, but that's not even okay for the medium term.
Okay. So, we were hoping that tariffs will be pushed higher as and when the raw material cost increases. In the last results that you reported, again, one could see that regulators were not pushing up tariffs as quickly as they ought to be. Do you see that situation changing at all? Are state governments and DISCOMs sensitized to the fact that they have to allow tariffs to rise?
I think by and large, state governments would be conducive or would allow tariffs to rise, but certainly not in an election year.
Okay, that becomes a roadblock. Okay, what about the resolution process? If you have projects which are completed but which are stranded for FSA or a power purchase agreement, do you think they will find buyers?
Frankly, I'm not so sure.
The idea of the committee of creditors will be to at least reduce the debt. Say if they reduce the debt by 50% or so, will they be people who will be willing to buy now because they are available distressed? And maybe in a year or two, PPAs will come, won't they, after all, when the next round of governments are elected?
It is a possibility. One can't rule that out. But to my mind, any such acquisition would be speculative in nature. So if I had to look at acquiring a power asset, I would look at an asset where at least 50% of the power sale is already tied up through a Section 62 agreement. And then you're more or less at a cash break even, then you can play on the remainder 50%. But if not, then it's speculative. So it's pretty much like those mega power plants which were done in the past, and all of them came to naught.
Yeah, UMPPs, yes, they came to naught. If you were to make policy, there isn't much time for the current government, maybe less than a year. What would you request in the form of, a policy change that might make it work?
Well, I think the Electricity Act of 2003 is brilliant. When Mr. Prabhu had actually created the framework of the Act, he had discussed with all stakeholders, and it is an absolutely brilliant act. There were certain changes made to it. The one change that was made to it that has impacted the power industry completely adversely is that fuel supply agreements are only applicable if you have a long-term PPA. So to my mind, if you have a fuel supply agreement, why should it be subject to having a PPA?
Okay.
It's not exactly as if you're going to run away with the coal or something of that kind.
Exactly. What else can you do?
What else can you do?
Okay, so perhaps a tweaking of the rules to ensure that if there is an FSA, then loans should be given and the project should be treated as kosher.
And frankly, if you have an FSA, don't wait for a PPA to make the FSA effective.
Exactly. Okay, so the FSA writers or contract writers should become more realistic.
That's right.
Okay. Well, where do you see your own position as a power generator and more importantly as a power distributor? Where are the expansions, if any, coming?
So as far as power generation is concerned, we today stand at 2,850 megawatts of capacity. Bulk of our capacities, almost 80% of them are linked to Section 62 PPAs, so which in a way secures us. We will only expand in generation if we can get a distribution-backed generation, not otherwise. But we would expand aggressively in distribution. So we've taken up 3 cities in Rajasthan. Our franchise in Noida is doing exceptionally well. And we will look out for more and more such opportunities.
Okay, but those discoms or those distribution contracts are fully backed by generation. There is no capacity over there to...
They are not backed by generation, but they are backed by supply agreements from the state governments.
Okay, no scope to sign a PPA over there.
I hope they allow us to do it.
Okay.
I'd be delighted.
Okay. Oh, the state government will have to give you permission.
That's right. So they want to sell their own power to these distribution companies. If they allowed us to set up generation,
then you can buy cheap ones.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. You don't see any scope?
I suppose there would be, but it isn't there on the immediate anvil. But hopefully in the next 12, 18 months, something may emerge.
Okay. No, it's because the country's, the government's stated aim is electricity for all. And they have, walked the talk in the sense every village has been connected, though every home has not been electrified. So you see any state coming to you and offering, or generally putting out discom tenders?
Yes, I think there have been dialogues with several states, and they are contemplating this kind of a move. It takes some time for them to actually complete the process internally and then float the RFPs. But I think over the next 12 months, you will see 2 or 3 states doing that.
Oh, that's very good news. So a final question to you on the power front. You are among the, best financially well provided for power companies, both distribution and generation. You are not showing so much enthusiasm for buying. Do you think that there will be PE companies or any other kind of funds who will be willing to buy the stranded power companies? Guys who have deep pockets enough to wait.
I'm sure there would be a breed of buyers who would be interested. I'm a cautious buyer. I buy for profit. I don't buy for speculation.
I would expect the same of the, the PE companies as well. Only maybe their waiting period is a little longer. But just a final question, therefore, what can the stranded power companies do? Will it make sense to go into the NCLT and look for relief over there rather than prolong the pain?
I think so.
Okay. You think that's a better solution? Okay, that answer came in very quickly, so I'll take a break on that note. But thereafter, I think the more tastier, spicier, more interesting questions on Mr. Goenka's new venture. It's too yum to wait. We are back in a minute. Welcome back. This is Power Talk, and I have been speaking with a power baron who has interests across several industries. I've been speaking with Mr. Sanjiv Goenka. Mr. Goenka, the most interesting launch that we have heard from the Goenka stable is this 2Yum product. Tell us how you got into it. I never associated you with it. I mean, Carbon Black, even Saregama, even Spencer, but we didn't associate you with snacks.
Quite honestly, FMCG has been on my mind for a very long time. And we started working on it a long time ago. The origins came from a study that McKinsey did. And they said you either get into IT-enabled services or FMCG. That's when we got into First Source. Since then, FMCG has been pretty much on our mind, and we've been working on products. And we've been waiting for the right time to launch. It's very encouraging to see that in the first 12 months, we today are at a 500 crore beat rate, and we're going at about 22 to 23% every month. So it's a very encouraging response. The products have been exceptionally well received. And I'll share with you something that happened last week. And there was a transport strike, and so supplies were impacted. So this distributor came to our people and said that, what's happening, you're not giving us supplies. So they said, out of our 30 SKUs, we only have 2. This distributor was taking about 25 lakhs regularly. He said, chalo humko 25 lakh ke 2 hi product de do.
Okay, so desperate.
So desperate. So that's the first real strong sign of a consumer pull.
Absolutely. No, I mean, 500 crore, I didn't even expect you to tell me a number as big as this. And 24% growth
month on month.
CAGR, yeah, month to month. I mean, that's a huge growth. And it's not a small base now when you're speaking about 500 crore. So, what's your future plan? Will you bring it to the market? I mean, when I say market, I mean stock market. At what time do we see,
Not immediately, but you will see it. The holding company will, of course, be listed. This will be
This is Ventures?
This is CSC Ventures. But this company will also get listed at some stage, but at a much later stage. Once it's a lot bigger. We have many more plans.
Okay.
So far, it's only been guilt-free snacks, but you will see other categories coming in. Work is on at a frantic pace. We are already out to, I think, 390,000 distribution outlets, which is like a phenomenal ramp up actually.
That covers the entire country?
That covers the entire country. But we have to double this number in the next 12 months. And
okay.
Fingers crossed.
Sure, of course. What's the timetable for listing CSC Ventures itself?
Well, we've got the NCLT clearance. We are awaiting a clearance from the State Regulatory Commission, which hopefully should come soon. So as soon as that comes, we'll apply to SEBI for listing.
So maybe we are a couple of months away?
I hope.
Okay. No, I mean, otherwise your entire demerger plan and listing plan is over.
Absolutely.
This is the last of the block.
This is the last, yes.
Okay. So, I mean, waiting may be helpful because you will get a better valuation, you think? I mean, you have a huge product in the portfolio.
I think the company is actually looking very good. And sales are growing, the products are gaining acceptance. We've got the right spot. There was nobody in the country who was offering guilt-free snacking. And they taste good. Yesterday, somebody was in Tirupati.
Okay.
And he sent me WhatsApp images of retailers and kirana walas there, and they had either tuyam or lays and nothing else.
Okay. I'm sure Nui will be very happy to hear that. But Mr. Goenka, what may be the size you are looking for your FMCG business, for your snacking business? How much is it already? I believe you have products even other than tuyam. So what is the total size of that FMCG piece?
Well, FMCG today is at a beat rate of about 500 crores. I think in the next 5 to 6 years, our target is 10,000 crores.
10,000, okay. So
yes,
you expect
absolutely.
to go 20 times in 5 years?
Absolutely.
So you list only at that time?
No, we list somewhere in between.
Okay. And CSC Ventures, of course, will absorb the valuation of this potential giant.
Absolutely.
Mr. Goenka, while speaking about the listing of Ventures, we should be speaking about Spencer as well. How have the footfalls been? Have you seen any improvement? After all, FMCG companies are telling us that rural demand has picked up, urban demand also picking up. How have the footfalls been?
Very good. And there was a slight slowdown post GST, and we are seeing this picking up now very significantly. So consumer interest in buying is picking up, consumers are picking up, and you're seeing a different breed of people becoming consumers for Spencer's.
Okay.
So that's a very big shift.
You will be increasing stores there as well?
We are going to increase stores, but our policy has been not to have reckless growth, not to have growth for the sake of growth, but to have calibrated growth which is sensible and profitable.
Okay, but what about all the e-commerce challenges? Are they taking away, or are you also meeting them head-on with e-commerce?
You know, we have also launched e-commerce, but again, we are not doing e-commerce for the sake of revenues only. We want to do e-commerce which is profitable. So our mantra is been growth for profits and profitable
How
growth.
big is the e-com piece?
It's still very small. It's still very small, and we're doing it in 3 cities. But we will scale it up over the next couple of months.
Okay, okay. Well, for instance, my son goes for Big Basket. We still go to the store. So I guess there is a market for both. What is this Spencer's valuation plus the FMCG valuation? At the moment, what can we expect for CESC Ventures? It's only these two, right?
No.
Spencer's and FMCG?
Spencer's will be independently listed. Ventures will have the holding of First Source,
Okay.
plus the FMCG.
The FMCG.
Yeah.
Okay. So Spencer's, when will the listing happen?
Same time.
All right. Oh, together?
Yeah.
There's lots to expect from the Sanjiv Goenka group. Okay. Well, as you can see, it's not just power, but what is whetting our appetite quite clearly is the FMCG business. So we should be expecting listing of Spencer's, we should be expecting listing of CESC Ventures, and eventually the CE Ventures big baby, the FMCG and the 2 Yum products. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you.
Fingers crossed, yes.